going, guys? It's Michael MGF, and today I'm going to be continuing my LEGO Star Wars Rogue One set reviews with the AT-ST Walker, and the set number for this one is 75153. The recommended ages are 8 through 14, and it has piece count of 449, while the price point is $39.99. Guys, this is our first AT-ST in 7 years. There hasn't been a full build of an AT-ST in any set since like the Endor base from 2009, like a year after I started on YouTube. That is insane, and it's making one hell of a comeback with this set in the Rogue One line, because this is hands down the best AT-ST LEGO has ever done. And guys, I do want to mention this as a quick sidetrack, because I realize there are still a lot of you commenting about my X-Men figures, and I just want to quickly address that because I realize not a lot of you stick around to the end of these reviews, and that's totally fine, but I am working on the X-Men minifigures, and I'm going to try to get them done as quickly as possible after I finish these Rogue One set reviews. Just want to make sure I kind of put that one to bed because I am still working on them, guys, and that showcase is happening. Sorry, again, that was a bit of a sidetrack, but I wanted to address it. But yeah, guys, is this set worth 40 bucks? I'll get into that in a second. For right now, let's take a look at the minifigs. First up, we've got Baze Malbus, one of the main characters in Rogue One, and LEGO did a really great job of portraying him in LEGO here. The number one greatest thing about this minifigure is definitely the likeness to Jiang Wen. If you look at the face, that is just an absolute copy of Jiang Wen onto a LEGO minifigure that looks exactly like him and is honestly a perfect likeness. I think that is great. And then if we go ahead and remove the hairpiece, which I'll talk about in a second, and then twist it around, you can see he does have a more aggressive facial expression, and this obviously is pretty much exactly just that, and it looks pretty cool as well. So yeah, now the hairpiece is something I do want to mention before we talk about the rest of him. So yeah, about the hairpiece, if you look at Jiang Wen's character, you know, Baze in Rogue One, he's got a much longer hairstyle than this, and I understand why LEGO went with this hairpiece. It's just the problem being, obviously, is the length. It's not really accurate to him, but they did it because they wanted to have his backpack, right? So I just want to show you guys this really quick, just because it's an idea that I have for my minifigure that I'll be making for Rogue One, and just to give you an idea of what you could potentially do if you also had the minifigure's hairpiece, which I'm about to show you, if I can get his backpack off. So yeah, here we go. And so we'll take the Baze Malbus head, put it back on here, and you can see this hairpiece here, this is Thorin's hairpiece from the Hobbit sets, and this is a lot more accurate to Baze Malbus's hairstyle in Rogue One. Now the problem with this is it eliminates the possibility of there being a backpack. So if you are a customizer like me, you could sculpt one on. Otherwise, you're stuck with the shorter hairstyle that LEGO decided to use to keep the backpack. And so yeah, that's just an idea I wanted to show you guys for this review, but we'll go ahead and take the head off really quick. And you know, while we have his backpack off, let's take a look at the back. The back of the torso is really nice, and it actually extends, like, you know, everything he has going on the front, including his red chest plate that you can actually see on the front of the torso design. And it's kind of awkward on the front of the torso because Baze Malbus in Rogue One has like these braids in his hair, and then LEGO decided to print on some of his hair and those braids on top of his chest plate, and that's just really awkward. You can see obviously the hair, you know, it cuts off. So having his hair with the braids printed on down here is really awkward. It's a very strange design choice there, but the rest of the torso design is fantastic regardless, and he does have leg printing, which is really nice. And you can see that there are a couple symbols like on his chest plate and on his left, or actually his right leg, that I really, you know, can't comment on as of yet, but are pretty nice to see in the design there. So yeah, now the backpack and his heavy repeater cannon. So his heavy repeater cannon is pretty much just an amalgamation of different pieces that LEGO has decided to use, and they all look really cool. And I really like the use of like the rollerblade piece on the top there. That is really cool. And then they decided to use this little chain link piece and attach that to his backpack. Now he does, like, this is how it looks in Rogue One. Not exactly like this. It's not a chain. It's more so like a magazine. Even though blasters don't have magazines, it kind of looks like one. He kind of has a similar type of, like, you know, like piece like that's like a magazine that comes from his blaster and then connects next to his backpack in the movie, and Lego used a little like chain piece to represent that, and it's a little bit awkward, but I guess that is better than nothing, right? So yeah, there's that, and then his backpack is just another, you know, conjunction of different pieces that you've seen before, and I mean, it's not a, you know, totally accurate, obviously, but it definitely gets the job done, and this is obviously also using, you know, to keep the backpack on the clear neck brace that has like the 1x2 set of studs on the back. So yeah, that is pretty much it for Baze Malbus Jiang Wen, and I really cannot tell you how much I appreciated him spoiling who dies in Rogue One at Celebration. That was pretty great. Next up, we've got the Rebel Trooper that's also included with the set, and this dude just looks like he came straight out of the second trailer, man. I mean, this is a really good-looking minifigure, and again, looks like he's straight from the movie. So, this Rebel Trooper will start off, I'll move his blaster down a little bit here, or just drop it entirely, so you can get a better look at this new helmet that he's got, and this is an entirely new mold, and this is really great. A highly detailed new piece with all kinds of different indents and rivets, just as we see it in the trailers and other marketing material. This is really awesome, and he has the same little emblem on the left side of his helmet that we see on the left side of the Rebel Trooper's helmet from the U-wing. So that's a cool little detail. And yeah, the entire piece is primarily this like you know, like it's primarily this tannish brown color, and then all like that gunmetal color you see wrapping around it is all printing, I believe, and that is super cool. What a great new piece. That is awesome. And then the face we've seen before that made its debut in the Force Awakens sets last year, and again, similar to the other Rebel Trooper faces, Lego has, you know, rehashed them since, and that's okay. But yeah, so the the torso is really nice as well, and I really can't comment on it other than, you know, it just looks like a really great and solid design, and again, looks like it came straight from the movie. Great design on the front, and a great continuation of it on the back, even though it's a little under detailed and really, you know, doesn't have the same amount of detail as we see on the front. But the legs do have printing, and as I mentioned in the U-wing review, you'll see throughout these Rogue One reviews that the Rebel Troopers do have this same pants design, but in different colors. So we saw this in dark tan with the U-wing, and then now we have it in this reddish brown color here with the AT-ST. So that is definitely pretty awesome, and it's great to have this design in you know, different colors, because it is such a good neutral design that can be used across all kinds of different minifigures. So yeah, then even though I dropped it here, we'll take a look at his blaster. If I can get it back in his hand, that would be great. And you can see his blaster just has a light gray connector on it, and there's really nothing else to add. So yeah, that is pretty much it though for the Rebel Trooper included with the AT-ST. A pretty solid Rebel Trooper. And finally, our last minifigure in the set, which is kind of sad. I really do wish there was a fourth minifig, but the man in the cockpit, the AT-ST driver, and just like the Walker itself, this is hands down the best AT-ST driver we have ever had. We'll start off by saying the helmet is the exact same piece as you remember. There's nothing new to it aside from the goggles, which are now printed onto the top, and that is really cool. A really nice design and a really welcome design change, so that is really great. And we'll go ahead and remove it though to give you a better look at the face, and you can see the face pretty much just has your stereotypical like imperial arrogant smiles. So there's that, along with the chin strap printed on there. And if we go ahead and turn it around, you can see we have a pretty derpy looking face. I don't know if it's just mine. I'm not sure if this is a misprint or just bad design work. I'm guessing this is a misprint, but the eyebrows and the mouth on this side look a little odd. So I don't really know what happened there. We'll go ahead and put the helmet back on though, so you can take a look at the torso. And the torso is pretty much what you'd expect. There really isn't a whole lot to talk about, but it definitely does the job. And when we turn it around, you can see the alternate side, the back of it, and pretty much just continues that same design work. So there's that, and then the legs, which are always really nice. And guys, this is why I mentioned with Jyn Erso and director Krennic, it's like, if our AT-ST driver can get simple leg printing like this, why can't the like two main characters of the film, freaking Jyn Erso and director Krennic? I just don't understand why this guy gets leg printing and they don't. It's just so strange, but it's still a really nice design and it looks great regardless. So yeah, aside from that though, guys, that is pretty much it for the entire roster of minifigures that comes with the AT-ST. I kind of wish there was another minifig, as I mentioned, but finally, let's go ahead and take a look at the build. Okay, so let's take the box out of the way here along with the minifigures so we can take a look at our new AT-ST here. And like I said at the start of this video, this is hands down the best AT-ST LEGO has ever done. And really, it only has one problem that I will point out here. So just giving you a quick 360 of the entire build. It is pretty large, as you probably already saw at the start of the video. Putting bays right next to it, you can see how it looks next to a minifig, and it is pretty big. It might be, I think it is the biggest, like, you know, 2-scale AT-ST we've ever had. Obviously, you know, not including the UCS one. But yeah, so I guess we'll go ahead and start off with the main head of the AT-ST. So you can see it is like, you know, it's a whole package in terms of proportions and accuracy, and it can spin a full 360, which is really nice and a great feature. And instead of doing it yourself, actually, you don't even have to twist it. Like, you know, just doing that, you actually have a knob here which can do it for you, which is super cool. I love that. It's not even a feature that necessarily needs to be featured, you know, in the set, but they still have it in here, and that is really great by use of some basic Technic mechanisms. And yeah, that is just really cool. And so while we're taking a look at the back, actually, you might have noticed that there are a couple stickers on both sides of that knob for some added detail, which is pretty nice. And then on the side of the AT-ST's head, you can see that we do have this gun here, which can rotate a full 360, but it's obviously just there to be a part of the design and you know, complete, you know, the entire thing's accuracy. And yeah, then you also have another gun off to the other side of the head here, and that can rotate again, another full 360. And it's again just there for the design, not actually meant to do anything or, you know, be a playability feature. But we do have playability features on the AT-ST. We do have a set of spring-loaded shooters on the front of it, if you didn't already notice. And while we're taking a look at the front, you can see that we do also have more guns that again are just part of the design, and they can be adjusted and flip up and down, which is pretty nice. And so taking a look at the back of the AT-ST, you can see we actually have a little mechanism that fires the spring-loaded shooters, which is super, super nice. And the way you just do that, you go ahead and push back on these cones, and I guess we'll use bays as our guinea pig for the day. And if we go ahead and try to aim a little bit and line up the shot and just again push on these cones here, and I missed. God, I'll grab an extra spring-loaded shooter. I have one from the pile of extra pieces that this set comes with that flew off the table. Man, after I'm done with these reviews, I'm just going to have to go around collecting spring-loaded shooters in my room. Anyway, yeah, so it's just you have two of those on either side of this gun here on the front, as I pointed out, and you can see the Technic mechanism in there is very simplistic to make the spring-loaded shooters fire. So now let's actually bust this thing open, and we'll do so by taking a look at the top first. And you can see on the top we do have the opening hatch that the AT-ST, you know, is known to have, and in the middle of that we have a 2x2 like dish tile piece that has a sticker for some added detail, which is super nice. And so this can be opened up, and if you wanted to, you could go ahead and drop a minifigure in there. It works pretty well. And so I mean, there's that if you want to, but I mean, if you want to actually access the whole thing, you can go ahead and flip the whole hatch up, which is super nice. The entire top of the thing flips up, and inside you can see we have a fairly limited cockpit. I'm pretty sure the AT-ST can hold more than one person, more like 3 or 4 if I'm not mistaken. But obviously this is a LEGO set, and this is what you would expect, and that's totally cool. And you can see behind the seat where the AT-ST driver you know, pilots the AT-ST, you have a couple of dark tan jumper plates, and those are holding a thermal detonator. And then you do also get an extra thermal detonator, which I'll show you in a little while, which you can put there as well if you wanted to. Or you can actually take the AT-ST driver's blaster pistol and go ahead and just stick that there and hold his accessory, which is super nice. Love when LEGO makes an effort to do that. So the AT-ST driver, you can see the little axle in the center there where he's supposed to sit. Just put him in a seated position, and he goes right inside and fits in just fine, which is super cool. And that is great. And you can see in front of him we have his control panel, and it's actually a giant sticker that is placed onto a 2x2 by 3 light gray slope, which is super cool. And that looks awesome, and definitely a nice design there. So aside from that, there's really not much else going on inside, you know, with the interior of the AT-ST, but you can see that just to show you how these plates, like these panels, are attached, it's more so just like a basic, very basic Technic mechanism. So we'll go ahead and pull one off here really quick, if that'll work. Can I even pull one off? I haven't honestly attempted to do so yet, but you can kind of see right there, I pulled it off a little bit where the Technic, like you can see the little blue Technic connector where this thing first connects, you know, the main, this plate connects, and then you just push it in, and then you have another little hole that you just mount over this little white peg, and that's how the plating and the panels on both sides of the AT-ST are held in. So yeah, then you just go ahead and close the entire thing on top, and that pretty much covers the AT-ST's interior. And you can see that with like underneath these little panels here, where the eyes are, you can see that it is see-through and hollow. Obviously there's no actual like window piece, but that's totally okay. But you can see the AT-ST Pilot inside, which is super awesome. I always love little things like that, and LEGO made sure to include that. And yeah, so now the legs. The legs are the only downside with the AT-ST, and it's kind of a shame. So the articulation is very, very limited on the AT-ST. So if we go ahead and try to bend the legs, you can kind of see that that's it. Like, I mean, there's only really one point of articulation, and it's right there at the thigh. And so, you know, that works really great. It's super loud when it clicks. So, I mean, you do have a pretty great bit of articulation for the thighs, and that's awesome, but there's nothing else. So, if I'm not mistaken, the AT-STs have about 3 points of articulation in their legs, so there really should have been an articulation point here and also in the ankle. But it's just that joint on the thigh area of each of the legs, which is a shame. I mean, it is, because it really does limit posability for this thing. Say if you wanted to put it into a mock or, you know, what have you, any other, you know, type of display pose, you really can't do it. It's primarily just this. And granted, if you wanted to, you could bend the leg back, and, you know, you could probably still get it to stand up, barely, not even. It's just kind of a waste. But that's really the only problem with the AT-ST. Aside from that, if you don't mind it being in its idle position, it's great, and there's really nothing wrong with the build. But then one last thing I want to cover on the feet. You can see we do have some stickers on each toe, which is pretty much just for some added detail, and that does look really, really great. So yeah, aside from that, that's really it for our first AT-ST walker in 7 freaking years, man. I've only been on YouTube, well, I've been on YouTube, I shouldn't say only, I've been on YouTube for 8 years, and so not having an AT-ST in 7 years, that pretty much puts it into perspective for me, just how long it has been since we've had one of these, and is it worth the 40 bucks? To give you my final verdict on this AT-ST walker, I would say yes. One problem I have, though, is that we should have had another minifigure, and I might have mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we really needed to have like a stormtrooper or just something else thrown in, maybe just an additional hover tank driver, a shore trooper, you know, just something to go with the AT-ST, because it's just, I feel like the minifigures are great, but there needed to be one more. Because it does kind of feel a little bit empty just having the 3 and then the AT-ST and then just dropping the $40 price tag on it. But again, if that's no problem to you and you like the build as I've shown it to you, then absolutely pick this one up, guys. And that's pretty much my overall thoughts on the AT-ST and the minifigures. So with all that said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the box, instruction manual, extra pieces, and we'll wrap up this video. Man, I remember when sets that used to cost only 20 bucks came in boxes of this size, but now we're sticking $40 AT-STs in them. Anyway, this has the new Rogue One packaging design, obviously, with the Death Trooper in the top right corner, and then it looks like the AT-ST is on Jeddah, if I were to guess, and that is super cool. Looks like they're fighting in like the city of Jeddah, and that's pretty awesome. All 3 minifigures included in the bottom left corner here, and then on the top we have bays sporting the actual size reference, and on the back of the box we have all the features that I just went over, along with an advertisement for the Force Builder app in the corner that I really, like I said in the last review, don't care about. So anyway, that's pretty much it. It's what you'd expect. This instruction manual actually kind of deviates from the past two with the U-Wing and the Krennic's Imperial Shuttle set, but if you can see here at the very end of the build, it comes out to be 93 pages in total, and if we continue to flip through, you can see we've got the standard Rogue One like minifigure render checklist that I've covered before, which is super awesome, and then the entire lineup of sets as well. So we've seen this in the U-Wing and Krennic Shuttle, but if we continue to flip through here as well, we can see that we've got an advertisement for for the Force Builder app. Again, I don't really care. But then we also have an advertisement for the Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens game, which is a nice little change of pace. So yeah, aside from that though, that's the instruction manual. And finally, the extra pieces aren't all that exciting. You've got your standard set of connectors, tiles, some 1x1 plates, and a few like clips and other things. Little rod here, which is pretty nice. But you also do get an extra thermal detonator and an extra rollerblade piece. So aside from that though, and your spring-loaded shooter piece, there's really not a lot going on here. And that pretty much does it for the entire review, guys, on the new AT-ST from Rogue One. And finally, let's go ahead and conclude this review. Did you know that in Rogue One, when I'm and dies, the Death Star, so Darth Vader. Alright guys, and there you go. That's it for the third Rogue One review on the return of the AT-ST Walker. And as I said throughout the entirety of this review, this is a really great set. And is it worth the 40 bucks? I would say so. Again, you know, just I think there needs to be another minifigure, if that would, you know, if that would be at all possible. But I mean, again, if this looks like the full package to you now that I've shown this whole set to you, then I mean, by all means, if you do want to pick up this set, or if this helped you in deciding as to whether or not you do, be sure to let me know by dropping this video a like below, and or your opinion on anything I might have said in this video, any mistakes I might have made. The comment sections on the U-Wing review were pretty much just filled with nothing but the mistakes I made, so that was pretty cool, but it's still appreciated, guys, and really does mean a lot, and really goes a long way, especially in the middle of a binge of reviews like this that I do annually for whatever new Star Wars film is coming out that year, and obviously this year being Rogue One. Anyway, you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. By the way, links to all three of those are always down in the description below, and as I mentioned at the start of the video, guys, I am working on the X-Men Apocalypse minifigures along with Ghost Rider from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., hopefully to finish all of that sometime this month so that I can do Doctor Strange and have that ready in November before moving on to my own minifigures for Rogue One. So yeah, aside from that though, guys, that is pretty much it for this review. Thank you so much for sticking around for the whole thing, and I'll catch you later. Alright, bye-bye.
We destroyed our home.
Okay, look, man, I don't know where your home was. They just sent us here. We don't even know what planet this is. We've got the new Rogue One Death Star Trooper. Death Star Trooper? Gosh damn it, Ross. On most, like, as well. And then if we continue to the AT-ST driver himself, or is it pilot officially? What did Lego put on the box? Driver, I was right. Why do I doubt myself?